Parenting is the hardest job, and there is not a close second. Raising high-performing teen athletes or performers? That's a high-stakes job. I'm Nate Crandall, joined by fellow certified high-performance coach Steve Galley. We coach ambitious parents like you, and also your high-performing teens, because when you both level up, connection and results don't just improve, they multiply. Welcome to the Stop Parenting and Start Coaching podcast. We have some burning questions for you. Is taking your teen down a notch the right move?
Man, I love that phrase. I've been taken down a notch so many times. You're smiling, Nate, but I know I'm smiling right now because it is fall, one of my favorite times of the year. Football playoffs are on their way.
Yep.
It's not so hot. It's not icy, dark, and cold yet. Winter sports are on the horizon. Like, people are getting antsy to play some hoop.
It's a joyful. Pickleball's a year-round sport. You can get fired up to play that. There you go.
Fired up.
Tell you what I'm fired up about is this phrase.
Take them down a notch?
This is a hot button topic for me. So you're going to get a cranky version of Crandall today.
Ooh. I like cranky Crandall.
Yeah.
Do you know why I like cranky Crandall?
Why do you like cranky Crandall?
Because you're not afraid to attack some traditional parenting and coaching tactics, strategy, styles.
And this is when we need to go scorched earth on.
Yeah, this is where we really believe in the idea of becoming more of a coach than a traditional parent, especially traditional in the form of authoritarian. I grew up in that age. My parents loved me very much, but I did hear some other. In fact, this has made me think of so many other phrases. I'm sure you know some other phrases too that mean the same thing. I could definitely,
yeah.
And for some of our younger parents, maybe they haven't heard these. If they haven't, you just need to talk to, if your grandparents are still alive, talk to them. They'll recognize these.
I think these are pretty universal.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I do. I think our younger parents will be familiar with a good chunk of these.
Bring them down a peg.
Yeah. Or put them in their place.
Show them who's boss.
Yeah. Teach them a lesson.
Ooh, that has been replayed in my head over and over again. Teach them a lesson. By the way, I've never said any of these.
No, I've never said.
I have sarcasm alert. Knock some sense into them.
Maybe we should cut them down to size.
Ooh. One of my favorites. Let's give them a reality check.
Oh, one of the ones that makes me sad. Take the wind out of their sails. These all make me sad.
He or she needs to be humbled.
Yes, the ever popular, it's time for a wake-up call.
That sounded disguised as a punishment of some kind.
Yeah.
Oh, this is one of my favorites. We'll finish with this one because I heard this one. My mom would say it about somebody else. And she is one of the most kind, loving people I've ever been around.
Mm-hmm.
But when anyway, here it is. Knock them off their high horse.
Yeah.
He needs to get off his high horse.
And he won't, so we're going to knock him off his high horse.
Yeah, she would usually say it about politicians, not so much teens or kids. So maybe in that case,
a little different.
It's
politicians need to be taken down a notch.
Yeah. So I've got a question for you, Nate. How do you like being taken down a notch?
You know what? I don't mind learning lessons. But if someone's stated purpose is to take me down a notch, I have a problem with that.
I can tell you had a problem with it because you emphasized purpose so much that it barreled its way through the foam covering on your mic. And I felt it.
I'm trying.
I use it. If it's their stated purpose.
Yes. Sorry if I spat upon everybody with my purpose, my powerful P. Yeah, Steve, this is something that I feel incredibly passionate and strong about. I don't think there's ever a situation where my purpose as a parent should be to take my kid down a notch.
So what's the problem behind the phrase, or we might even say the phrase behind the problem?
Well, there's a lot that goes into this for my money. I think as a parent, if I want to be a great parent, I should never look at my kid as needing to be taken down a notch. I want my kid to be confident. I want my kid to feel independent. And if that happens to show up as a little bit of a defiant streak, okay, great. I can adjust and adapt. But as soon as I start trying on purpose to take my kid down a notch, that's a problem. Because now what I'm doing is I'm sending a mixed message to my kid. If I'm trying to take them down a notch, I'm letting them know that it's not important enough for you to be confident. You need to make sure that you're humble first. And so I'm going to put you in your place. And like this is a risky mentality. And it's a cultural norm that we've just allowed to sit for way too long. And it needs to be thrown under the microscope. Because I think it leads to some toxic things in parenting that we do that causes more problems for our kids than it solves.
Okay, I'm going to turn up the heat. I already know how you're going to answer, mainly because I just know how you think and we share the philosophy. It's like I've got the answers to the test here. But I would say you would have some really good parents who are doing some coaching with their overconfident teen. Like it is very clear they are overconfident. And so they've been taught by their parents who were taught by their parents that, okay, we need to take her down a notch. And so they go into the notch reduction mode. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with this? They know that this overconfidence could lead to some bad outcomes.
So it all lies in one, the stated purpose. If you ever tell your kid, or if you ever tell somebody else that your job or your goal is to take your kid down a notch, that's not a good mentality. And it shows up. Your kids feel these things. Kids sense these things in a really strong way. And there's a healthy way to approach that. If I have a kid that's overconfident, or if I'm trying to work with a parent and help them deal with this situation, my first question to the parent is, what can you do to provide a challenge for this kid? What's an area that you can challenge this kid in? Not from I'm trying to take them down a notch, but I'm trying to introduce them to a higher field of play. Your kid might be overconfident because they're an A player playing on a C field. And so the overconfidence comes, but if you put them on a different field, now they have an opportunity to play against better players. And the game of life, the game that they're playing, has the opportunity to introduce them to being taken down a notch. The competition does it. But as a parent, I want to put them in the situation where the situation will challenge them, but now I can coach them because I've never said, well, we're going to make sure they get taken down a notch. Does that make sense?
No, it's very well said. And I think you're correct. Life has its own natural twists and turns and its way of taking us down a notch.
And as a parent, I don't need to intervene and make that happen and have that be my purpose.
Right. Even if you are a perpetual winner as far as W's and L's go, you're not always going to be on top. You're not always going to win. And there's going to be times where you get humbled. I'm thinking of another H word when you described this in a negative light as far as being the stated purpose that you're trying to take them down a notch. That makes me think of humiliation.
Yeah, exactly. And your kids feel that.
Right. And I recall being in a couple of practices back in my previous life as a high school basketball coach. I'm not going to mention their names, but if I mention their names, people in the sports world, I mean, they're very well known. Neither one of them are with us any longer, but being live in practices with two of the most successful, winningest college basketball coaches ever, humiliation was a stated purpose. It was a part of their philosophy, and they still got great outcomes. I think part of that's because you and I both know that fear is a great motivator.
Mm-hmm.
You can get desired outcomes. Dictators can get desired outcomes. But is that what we're really trying to do as parents? So that was kind of a lead into this next question for you, Nate, and that is, what is the emotional cost of humiliation?
Coming from parents, it's staggering. If your parents are humiliating you, that has staggering emotional costs for a kid. Being in a position of power is such a delicate place to be, and parents are supreme in a kid's world. They value your opinion way more than you realize they do. And so if you come in with the mentality of, I'm going to put them in their place, it leads to feelings of humiliation. And when you're humiliated by the most important emotional figures in your life, that leaves a mark.
It seems to me that it just actually gets, you were talking earlier about a little defiance streak.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, I can deal with this. I've noticed this. In fact, I noticed with teammates who were humiliated. One of their stated purposes was to, okay, I'm going to get this coach back.
Mm-hmm.
Now you get in this vengeance mode and retribution and a fight. And I mean, is that fun for anybody?
No, nobody wins in that. It's the power struggle, and nobody wins in that situation. And teens will often react to this, and they're not necessarily consciously trying to rebel, but when they feel humiliated, they react. And a lot of that subconscious and a lot of that reaction becomes combative. A lot of that reaction entrenches them in their defiance. And there's so many better ways to approach, like a defiant kid. I don't need to take him down a notch. I need to look in the mirror and say, am I modeling humility? Can I approach them in a good manner and invite them to explore being more humble? Am I introducing my kids to opportunities to serve, where they can now look and be grateful for the things they have rather than thinking they're better than somebody else? Like, there's so many better ways to go with this. And I like the mentality, like that. It's not a poorly intended idea. Teaching your kids to be humble, teaching your kids to be grateful for the things they have. That's not poor. That's not a bad intention. But if you shift that to, well, I'm going to take them down a notch and put them in their place and show them where they belong, now it becomes the wrong game.
Sure. I mean, you might actually escalate their defiance.
Absolutely.
Or you might just get a really obedient teen, but it's all
on
based
the surface.
Yes, on the surface, but it's all based, there's fear that's the foundation of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just pleasing you because they want to avoid being taken down a notch.
Yeah. Love motivates way more than fear does. And if we as parents can coach from a place of love, coach our kids from a place of love, now it becomes more powerful in such a good way. Like, if I'm looking at my kid and they're overconfident, why not feed that a little bit? Why not be like, man, you really are good. What's a way you can challenge yourself to be even better? And get them thinking about ways they can challenge themselves. How can you help somebody else get better? And get them thinking about ways to serve others as a way of teaching them a more natural, loving form of humility. Like, I've just seen this wreck too many kids, because now they feel like their parents don't love them, their parents don't appreciate them, their parents don't want them to be successful. Because, well, when I get successful and think I'm good, my parents just put me in my place, or they take me down a notch.
Well, answer your own question.
Which one?
You rattled off 3 or 4 a couple of minutes ago. How can a parent, sorry, I introduced the question and then didn't finish it. So how can a parent help this overconfident or defiant teen to become more humble besides the modeling? Can you think of any other better alternatives than this taking them down a notch?
Asking them questions like, who's somebody that you feel is better than you? Who's somebody that you respect in this field that you admire? Who's somebody that you can help because you're doing don't be afraid to jump in and say, man, you really are doing good. You're doing a great job. Who's somebody you can help get to your level? Who's somebody that you can invite to be better as well? How can you make your team better if they're in a team sport? Say, man, you really are doing great. Your team's kind of struggling right now. What can you do to help your team? and get them thinking about other people, get them thinking about ways. But I don't need to engineer ways to take them down a notch. I can invite them to look at it differently. And so if I can ask them great questions, I think that's a healthy strategy that I as a parent can utilize to invite my kid to improve and teach others.
I really love those questions. Those were two I had not thought of.
Thanks.
I
try not to get too salty about this because there are so many parents that have just tremendous ambition for their kids and they see the potential. But if you want your kid to reach a high level, I don't think taking them down a notch is ever a way to help them get there. Like, you've got forward momentum going. Why stop the forward momentum? Maybe it's a little misguided and heading off towards arrogance, but slapping them down, I don't see how knocking them backwards helps them progress in a good way. But I can redirect, and questions is a great way to redirect.
Fantastic. If you like what you are listening to, please subscribe to the Stop Parenting and Start Coaching channel. That's where our podcast is. It's on YouTube. We're also on Apple. We're also on Spotify. And if you would like to read and see more about what Nate and I are doing, you can follow me, Steve Galley, on LinkedIn. That's where we do 9.
I like all the points.
Yeah. 99.9995% of our social media posting. And I think we established something, Nate, in this episode. I think we established that you do not believe that taking our teens down a notch is the right move. So I have a charge for our parents.
Let's hear it.
That is, this week, take your teen up a notch.
Nate Crandall and Steve Galley would like to thank you for tuning in to this episode. If you love what you're experiencing and learning from the Stop Parenting and Start Coaching podcast, please like, comment, and or leave a glowing review of this episode and the show. And to further help Nate and Steve expand their reach and impact thousands of parents, athletes, and performers, please share the show and subscribe to the Stop Parenting and Start Coaching podcast channel on YouTube. And if you want to explore further to see what Nate and Steve are creating to help parents of athletes and performers everywhere, please visit their website at createtransformbecome.com. That's createtransformbecome, all one word, .com. There you will find a growing number of tools and resources to help you elevate your parenting. Thanks again for tuning in. Now go create a magical relationship with your athlete or performer.